Hi, my name's Dawn. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do something just a little bit different. I want to share my cancer story with you. If you've been watching, you know that I am a breast cancer survivor. So I wanted to share my story with you. If you know anyone that is going through this, you can feel free to share my video if you think that it's helpful. If you've been watching for a while, you know that I'm a nurse, and I do want to start out by saying, please don't take anything I'm saying as medical advice. It's just my story. If you're concerned at all about yourself or about anyone else, please go see your doctor. Talk to them. My cancer story started about a year ago, actually in June of last year. I had made the decision that I was not happy with the doctor that I was seeing for primary care, so I decided to change doctors. On June 20th, I had my initial appointment with my new primary care doctor. And as going through my medical history, she started asking me about tests, screenings, immunizations, all those things they ask. And she asked me if I'd ever had, when my last mammogram was done. Not if I'd ever had one, but when was the last one. And I told her, I said, I've never had a mammogram. I'm 55 years old, and of course I should have had mammograms done before then. But I would go in to see my doctor every year. He would say, you need a mammogram. I would put it off, and I just never had one done. I wasn't concerned about it. No breast cancer in my family history. So at this point she said, I want you to get this done. She said, I'm setting it up for you, and then I'm setting up a follow-up appointment in 1 month. And she said, if you've not had that mammogram done by that appointment, I'm officially going to yell at you. So we had already built a really nice rapport. She's actually a nurse practitioner. So being a nurse, I don't know if I respected her more or what, but I listened to her. So the day for my mammogram appointment came, and to be honest, I almost canceled that appointment. I was having a horrendous day at work. Really, really busy, really felt like I couldn't take the time away, but I took a deep breath and said, you know what, I need to get this done. And I remembered in the back of my mind her saying that she was going to yell at me if I didn't. So I went in and had my mammogram done. Little did I know that at that appointment in a month to see her, that my life would be changed forever. I went in for my mammogram and had that done. For you ladies that are putting it off, it's no biggie. It was really not a difficult procedure at all. They did the mammogram, told me, we'll let you know, sent me home. So a few days later, though, I got a phone call from the breast clinic saying, we need you to come back in for a repeat mammogram. And I said, okay, I can do that. And they scheduled it for just a few days away, and of course little red flags were going up, and I was concerned. So went back in, they repeated the mammogram, and the technician told me, why don't you go wait out in the lobby? There are some concerning areas. The doctor's going to take a look, and if he thinks he needs to, he'll want to do an ultrasound today. So I went back out into the waiting room. That few minutes was a really long wait for me. And the technician came back out and she said, yeah, we're going to do an ultrasound. So the nurse came and got me. Her name was Beth. I'll never forget her. She had a beautiful smile, wonderful way about her. Showed me back in there and she said, this is just to take a look at what's going on. The doctor's going to take a peek, set me all up for the ultrasound. Doctor came in and did that ultrasound. A few minutes later, he said, we're a teaching hospital. Would you mind if I brought some students in? And I said, of course not. Bring them on. And the next thing I knew, the door opened and several doctors came in at that point. They looked at my ultrasound, of course, did more ultrasounding of my breast to see what was going on. And they did tell me at that point that there was an area of concern. So, and that I would probably need a biopsy, that I would be called to schedule that. So again, I went home more concerned. And of course, they scheduled that biopsy, and it was just a few days later. Went in for the biopsy. That was done. I won't tell you it was painless, but it was not as bad as I expected. Went back home, and then within a few days it was time for me to see Lana, my primary care provider, again, and that was on July 20th of last year. Went in to see her, and she had looked at my results and looked at what had been going on. She did come in with quite a concerned look on her face and said, okay, this is what's happening. You will have the biopsy results today, I'm guessing. She asked me if I wanted a phone call with the results or if I wanted her to schedule a visit the following day to come in and talk with her and go over those results. And I said, Lana, you can call me because I know it's cancer. I'm a woman of faith. I've been a Christian for many years, and I truly believe that God prepared me at this step, letting me know that it was cancer. And of course, all the signs pointed to that was what was going on. So I left for home, and later that day my phone rang, and it was Lana on the phone saying, hey, yeah, it's cancer. You'll be set up to see a breast surgeon coming up, and we'll go from there. So I was in, I don't know if your doctor has this, but many doctors have portals where you can go in and read all your results. Probably not the best thing for a nurse to do, but I was in reading results and seeing what was going on, and then had my appointment with my surgeon, went in to see her, and I was diagnosed at that time with invasive ductal carcinoma. What that means is the cancer had started in one of my milk ducts and had spread outside of that duct. The tumor, when they found it, was 9 millimeters, which is just under a centimeter in size, and it was back against my chest wall. So that was why I couldn't feel it during self-breast exams, and my doctor, actually, the surgeon, couldn't feel it either. So she went over the biopsy results, and what we found is that my cancer was estrogen and progesterone positive, and we were waiting for results on the HER2 test. And what this means is that my cancer was one of the most common. It's responsive to estrogen and progesterone therapy, so that was good news. Turned out that my HER2 test came back negative. That was also good news. So the doctor told me, let's look at your options. She gave me the option of lumpectomy followed by radiation, or mastectomy, and I would be done. No radiation, I would be finished. And I told her what would she advise, and she said, well, because the tumor is so small, let's look at the lumpectomy. So that's what was done. That surgery was scheduled. I did have to wait a bit for that. It was done on 9/11, and it was a medical procedure. It was a surgery. I'd never ever had surgery before. The only thing I'd ever been in the hospital for at all was the birth of my 2 children. So that was a little disconcerting, but I got through it. My husband was there with me through the whole process. And then after that, I had an appointment scheduled to see the radiologist and the oncologist. Oncologist I saw first. He went over my results as well, and he told me, he said, looking at your tumor, there's no way to know how truly invasive it is unless we do another test. And I said, another test? And he said, oh, no, don't worry. It's a test on the tumor. We're not going to poke you again. So my tumor cells were sent off to do what's called an oncotype test. What this test determines is how likely your tumor is to recur. And it gives you an idea if the tumor might have spread outside. Although my lymph nodes were clear, there was no cancer there, and I had good margins around my tumor site. He said, let's go ahead and do this test. So I waited. Again, cancer is such a waiting game. You really got to prepare yourself if you're diagnosed with cancer that there's going to be some waiting involved. As a matter of fact, it took a couple weeks before I had the results of that onco test. My test came back that my cancer was rated at a 29. that was on the high range of medium risk. So my result was a 29. 31 is where they say you have to have chemo. So my doctor told me we need to do chemo. And that was rough news to hear that I would have to go through that. But it was necessary. I didn't want to ask myself in a few years, and if the cancer came back and I hadn't done chemo, could I have prevented this? So I went through 4 rounds of chemo, finished that on December 26th. So then probably, well, actually not too long after that, we started radiation because my surgery site had healed well. I had 15 rounds of radiation. That's every day, 5 days a week for 3 weeks. And then I had 4 boost doses because it turned out that one of the margins when the lump was taken out was a little bit narrow. Doctor was concerned. She said, you know, it's a clear margin. She said, so that's all good. She said, but being so narrow, I want to do the boost dose of radiation because this type of cancer can jump over more narrow margins, and I just want to be sure. So that's kind of at the point I am at now. My radiation finished on March the 5th. Today is, what day is it? It's July 3rd today. And next week, on July 11th, I go back in for my first mammogram following all of this. So I'll be honest, I'm a little anxious about that, you know, finding out that everything's okay. I'm nervous, I'm scared. Fearfulness is something that has happened. Anxiety is something that's happened in my life. In talking with other breast cancer survivors, it's common. So I will update you next week what my results of my mammogram are. So I appreciate you listening. I know this is a long video, but I really appreciate it. If you haven't already and you'd like to, please subscribe below. Please feel free to share this with anyone that you feel might need some additional information about breast cancer. Again, I'll be uploading more videos. I want to talk about what a biopsy is like, what to expect your first chemotherapy, what radiation is like. I would just like to be able to maybe calm some fears and prepare some folks for what lies ahead. Thank you so much again for watching. I do hope you have a blessed day, and please know that I am optimistic. I do believe that God can heal anything. And so I'll be back. I'll let you know what happens next week. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.